What we've done at Ensemble is looked for areas where we can take away repetitive tasks for the work our staff is doing, and we can have our associates then refocus on those critical thinking areas.
Hi, and welcome to Operator Insights. I'm Julie Roberts, and today with us we have Katie Allett, Assistant Vice President of Operations Strategy here at Ensemble Health Partners. Katie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to start off with a really tough question for you.
Okay.
What is Operations Strategy, and what exactly do you do?
Operations Strategy is such a cool title, right? But what that really turns into here at Ensemble is I am involved in automation, looking at ways that we can optimize processes here at Ensemble, and I work very closely with our internal tools like EIQ and how we can make those better.
So tell us about EIQ for those folks who may not be familiar with it.
EIQ is Ensemble IQ. It's our proprietary workflow tool that we use with many of our clients.
Great. So earlier when you talked about kind of your focus area, I heard the word automation. And in terms of revenue cycle performance, what does automation mean here at Ensemble?
So we are very, very broad in the way that we look at automation here. Historically in the industry, automation can have many, many different facets. And what we do here, we kind of dumb it down to a phrase called bots. And bots are little robots that we build out to go do tasks here. So what we've done at Ensemble is looked for areas where we can take away repetitive tasks for the work our staff is doing, and we can have our associates then refocus on those critical thinking areas where we can really use their skill sets to the best of their ability, where they're driving the rev cycle forward, and we've taken away some of that stuff that they don't have to think about.
So sometimes when you hear technology taking over functions of a human, right? Sometimes that elicits a response of concern, right? So, but does that mean that you're in the business of putting others out of their job, or
absolutely not.
How do you enhance the work?
So what we like to do is see how we can couple with the work that the teams are already doing. So where we can do handoffs and say, hey, this is a task that we know we always turn right or we always turn left. We can hand that off to a bot and have our staff build up their productivity by using those critical thinking and decision-making tasks that we sometimes can't train a bot to do. So it's absolutely not, we're not building them to take jobs away, but instead we are building a stronger, more efficient workforce here at Ensemble that we are adding bots as part of our staffing model.
Great. What do you think is the next generation of automation for Ensemble in our client base?
Well, Julie, we have two ways that we build bots here at Ensemble. We've categorized them as catalog bots. Those are those tactical functions that we help our operators with their performance, like applying adjustments, helping with rebuild projects. These are bots that can be used ad hoc, so we can pull them off the shelf and literally use them like a card catalog when needed. We have another avenue called strategic bots. These are where we're looking at building bots that can be embedded in workflow processes. So from start to finish, how we can enhance the performance for our clients and enhance the work that our associates are doing by inserting bots into the workflow.
When you were talking about that, it kind of sparked an interest of mine, which is how do you prove the value add, right? The ROI, the return of investment of the technology into the processes for Ensemble and the clients that we serve?
Sure. So many of the bots, before we build them, we build business cases around them. And so by looking at that, we're looking at ways that we're applying time savings. Are we getting work done faster than a regular associate could do it? We also are applying and starting to use some machine learning, where we're using advanced tools to read things and help make critical decisions. So for example, if a payer comes back and gives us a response and we need to read that response and move it out of AR and over to customer service, we have bots now reading things and making decisions to kind of move things down the assembly line.
You know, in revenue cycle, we like to quantify everything that we do.
Yeah.
Tell us about the impact that you and your team have had on operational performance metrics.
Sure. So it's really, I got to give my teams kudos, right? I think for a while there, they have been working kind of behind the curtain and their work effort has not been seen. So some big numbers, we have already built 163 automations here at Ensemble across 11 rev cycle processes. And what they've been able to do is build some robust technology underneath that to gather all the data that our bots are processing on a daily basis. So we're now working on taking that data and seeing what we can learn from it. How can we tweak our bots? How can we continue to make our rev cycle processes better by learning from the data that we're processing through those automations?
If someone's watching and they run a CBO or a business office across the country and they're not leveraging bot technology today and maybe are nervous to kind of investigate, what advice would you give to those particular leaders that are kind of on the outside looking in of this space to let them know what they can expect?
Sure, we want to hear from you. The best ideas we've had come into our department are from our associates that have said, hey, at the end of the day, I feel stretched like a rubber band and I don't know why. Come watch me. And I have an amazing team underneath me filled with business analysts and developers. And they've done a great job of kind of going in with both the business mind and the technology, and we're able to sit shoulder to shoulder with our associates, or via Zoom right now, and watch the process unfold and provide ideas on how we could leverage automation to help their day.
If I had an idea, how would I get that to you and your team? If I'm an internal Ensemble associate and I'm thinking, I don't know, but I think maybe I have an idea.
Sure. So we are working on building out a pretty robust Teddy page, so it'll be live soon. And in that page, you can submit an innovator idea. So there's a place where you can open up a ticket or a form and submit an idea of a process. But we want the associates submitting those ideas to be heavily involved in how we're doing this, because we feel that if you're involved in the process, it'll take on a life of its own and it'll implement a lot smoother. So in there, we're going to help you build the business case so you can learn from the value up, just like you said, of how it'll drive value and what that return on investment would be. And then also be a part of the design, learning how we can leverage bot technology to tweak and help the processes along the way.
Nice. For the background and experience of your team, so the label developer is used in a lot of different industries, backgrounds. So what do you look for in a developer that's going to focus for, revenue cycle performance in our industry?
Sure. So a lot of the team that I have might not have started in the rev cycle industry, but we actually have found that to be a plus because they're asking questions, they're asking the whys, and they're challenging the status quo. Some of the reasons why we don't always have efficient processes is we've just been doing it the same way because that's like muscle memory. And so the developers kind of ask why, or they take outside knowledge from other industries and said, hey, this process, take rev cycle out of it, looks the exact same thing as what I did in my banking industry or what I did at CVS, in the pharmacy industry. And by doing that, we just overlay the rev cycle work, that the outputs that have to come, and we've seen success.
That sounds great to know that your team, right, is made up of folks that may know revenue cycle or may not, but can add that value, right, to make a difference in this industry. So that's awesome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about you. So how did you make your way to Ensemble?
Oh, I've had a journey. So I'm an engineer by background, so looking at processes and figuring out efficient ways to do that is kind of embedded in me. I started my career in IT, implementing EMRs, and kind of that's how I've worked my way up through healthcare and learning rev cycle. I actually was a client of Ensemble before I joined Ensemble, so that was like the best interview I probably could have had because I was on the other side of the table kind of understanding what's happening.
Right.
And now that I'm on this side of the table, it's interesting to see what I didn't know on the other side. So it's been a great journey to kind of go from being a client over to providing the service.
Great. Well, you do great things here.
Thank
and
you.
We're happy to have you every day. So we always like to wrap these up with kind of a, fishbowl type question. Your question today is, if you could tell your 18-year-old self something, what would you tell her?
Stop and listen and take a breath before you respond. It's really good to observe what's happening around you, gather all the facts, and then make an informed decision. And so I've learned through my career to be slow to respond and to look at all of the facets around me so that I can make informed decisions.
Well, I think that's a great tip for anyone. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in today.
Thanks
We
for
appreciate
having
your
me.
time. Be on the lookout for more operator insights.